we got to talk about Purdue, man. We got to get into this team. I got my Paint Crew t-shirt on. I'm ready to go with them. I think it's time, Chris. I think it's time that we kind of realize what Micah Shrewsbury said after the game. He said the best team in the country, the best player in the country, and the best coach in the country. Is that true?
That's a pretty hard argument to make on the other side of it. I think it starts obviously with Zach Edey for him. He's unlike anything anybody has around the country. He's gotten better and better passing the ball. He's going to get double and triple teamed every single night. Their guards are so cerebral to make the one extra pass, because I think that was one of the things that a lot of people talked about is, does Purdue have guys that can break you down off the dribble? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say you don't need that, but it's probably not as big of a need when you have Zach Edey demanding double and triple teams, and now the ball's being sprayed out to scrambling defenses. The freshman guards have played unbelievably well. You mentioned before the show came on the lead they have in the Big Ten this early, and February has just started. They're super impressive, and as Micah said, Matt Painter's just so even keeled. His guys are so daggone tough. He runs great stuff. He doesn't veer from his identity. They're really, really good. They're going to be a hard team to beat.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think no one has figured out a way to even really slow him down. I mean, in a sense, Edey is so dominant that tonight we saw, all right, teams are going to say, all right, we're going to go into the game. We're going to double. We're going to triple them, make somebody else beating them. And the other guys step up, whether, tonight it was Mason Gillis, if it was another guy, if it's Loy, if it's Smith, everybody has shown they can step up and beat you. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What do you do? I mean, when they've got the most dominant player in college basketball?
You do a lot of this, a lot of praying, a lot of hoping.
You got to figure out a way to get him in foul trouble.
Yeah.
And I know everybody says maybe, you could pick on big guys defensively, with pick and roll type coverage, because obviously Edey's not going to hedge, far out on the floor. He's going to drop. And, a lot of times that can be a prescription to get big guys in foul trouble if you have guards that can go downhill, but he's not 6'11".
No.
He's just a size that nobody's seen. And, even when you don't feel like he's going to even come close to blocking a shot, he's just so daggone big, he affects things. And then offensively, like we talked about, just his ability to demand double and triple teams. Because if you don't double him or triple, he's scoring. He gets so close to the basket, and you almost are alarmed or shocked when he misses a chippy.
I think that's where his biggest improvement's been. It's been a defensive end, because there's not fouling. Like tonight, Penn State didn't get a free throw in the first half. Like it's just like, hey, put your arms up, and if they shoot over it and they make it, congratulate them. We take it out and we just go.
Do it again.
Like, we want to see your shooting percentage shooting over top of him, and he doesn't foul. And he's staying in between the ball and the basket, making people take shots over top of him. And he's so big, you can't throw lobs over him. He's just effective in ways that you just hadn't seen in a long time in basketball.
Yeah, I want to ask both of you guys what your take is on how Paint runs this program. I think it's really an interesting story to me, because there was a while where it's kind of like Jay Wright, right? Where there was about a 2 or 3 year stretch kind of in the early 2010s where things kind of went the wrong way. And I don't know if like he was put on the hot seat, if that's fair, but I think he kind of changed the way that he does things. He started looking at some bigger players. I think he really focused on developing the culture and the identity of the program. And now he's just kind of figured out a way to make it work, right? But at the same time, you haven't had that run in March. And I think it's hard for people from a national perspective, Chris, to kind of give a coach that credit when they don't have that Elite Eight trip, when they don't have that deep run on their resume.
I hear you. I mean, he was a Kihei Clark scrambled assist to big fella for Virginia. I can't remember his name right now.
Mamadi Diakite.
Yeah, Diakite, from going to the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to see how Matt's run at Purdue has sort of progressed. Early on in his career, he had the kid Carl Landry playing the 5. He was 6'6", 6'7", almost like a MAC size center that could face you, that was strong as hell with his lower body. And then it became A.J. Hammonds, and then Caleb Swanigan. And then he's just had, an enormous amount of big guys. And the latest one, obviously, is the biggest of them all. So I don't know who's coming behind Zach because, right now he's got the red shirt freshman playing center behind him. So I don't know if Matt's got a 7'3" guy up his sleeve, in the years to come, or maybe he's trying to get a COVID year for Zach, which I don't see happening. But he just he's really found his identity. He loves to play through his big guys. They do an incredible job of running set plays to get their shooters open. And they've always been, I don't know if Painter's ever played any zone. It's just always been solid half court, tough man-to-man defense. That's been his MO and his prescription. It's really started to work. And, whether tournament runs or not, he's a hell of a coach and he's got to keep knocking on the door.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to worry about getting there. He's getting there. So you give yourself enough chances with the talent. And we talked about that tonight when we spoke with Gillis. It's, you give yourself a chance. They're going to be a tough out because of the way they play. And like I said, they got the most dominant guy in college basketball. And you can't go into a game hoping like, all right, we got to get him in foul trouble because of the way he plays. He just stays between ball and the basket. And that's just going to be hard to do. Like if you're trying to go into the game thinking you're going to get him in foul trouble, good luck. You just got to hope it happens. We keep waiting on in the past. The kryptonite's been length, athleticism on the wing, attacking their guards. It's just not working. No one's been able to solve that riddle yet.
Yep. They also have a win over Marquette earlier this season, which all of a sudden looks like an incredible win that no one really paid it. That happened on the night when we were at the Champions Classic. I didn't even watch that game. I don't know anything that happened. I don't even know if I even looked at that box score at any point. I have a take on Edey. I want to give you guys real quick, and I want your thoughts on this. So we've called him generational on this show. There's been headlines on YouTube. There's been tweets that have gone out. I think it was Fanta that said he was a generational kind of a player. And I want to push back on that because I think that we don't give Edey enough credit for the amount of work that he's put in. There's nothing like given with him. He's earned every little bit of success that he has. We talked about this, RC, with Mason Gillis in an interview we're going to get to here in a minute. But when Zach Edey first got to Purdue, like he was terrible. I think the quote that he has is "I sucked" is the way that he phrased it. And to see him develop from being a guy that could barely catch the ball to having the best hands in college basketball, to being this dominant force that is 7'4", 290 pounds and not a defensive liability. Like that's all hard work. That's determination. That's getting up and getting to the gym to do your conditioning. That's doing the ladders on the floor to get your feet quicker. Like that's work. He's put in the work to make this happen. If anything, he's generational work ethic, right? Big guy with a generational work ethic. And I don't think we give him enough credit for the amount of development that he's made. Does that make sense? Either of you?
Go ahead, Chris. I'll just say absolutely. I mean, he played behind Armando Bacot at IMG. I remember when, the blurb on either 247 or whoever's cover recruiting, Zach Edey commits to Purdue. And it was like, who is this guy? It was, I don't want to say a chuckle, but it was a chuckle in the sense that like Painter's getting another big 7'3", 7'4" guy. But it wasn't like he was highly recruited. It wasn't like he was a 4-star and it, came down to Purdue and Texas Tech and Iowa. I mean, like it was Purdue and a few low major schools that thought they could use his size. And, I'm sure he got hit in the face with a frying pan when he first got to Purdue in terms of like the speed of the game, his ability to catch, how he could affect the game on defense. And we've seen it over the last 3 or 4 years, splitting time with Travion Williams and playing behind Harms and now just to sort of be the guy, not only on Purdue, but on the national scene. I mean, you give that kid all the credit in the world for believing in himself when a lot of people didn't. And you also give Purdue a lot of credit for believing in him.